Hello. This video screencast is going to be about 10 minutes to give you instruction on how to complete your diagram notebook, because that will be the second main assignment. And don't neglect to remember that that is worth 20% of this quarter's grade. All right. So first of all, the first thing you're going to need is a notebook. I recommend a notebook, okay, of at least 100 page, maybe even two notebooks. You can see the former Zakhar Hankiewicz there. Two notebooks. All right, a lined notebook would be fine. What lined it would be fine. You could also buy an unruled notebook. All right, unruled notebook there. Unruled means, of course, there's no lines in it. Better for drawing, but I think it's a little bit more expensive. But I think anything less than 100 pages, and you're going to need to buy a couple of them to make sure you get it through. Again, it should be clean and only used for biology. All right, as you can see there, you're going to label it with your name and diagram notebook on the front. Okay, your name and diagram notebook. All right, so one or two, make sure you have that there. The only thing that's going in there are diagrams. All right, but let's go through the process. All right, so for the diagram notebook, you're going to need two things. Number one, the notebook and pencils or colored pencils. Pencils or colored pencils. All right, what is going to go into the notebook? Any diagram that we draw in class, that I draw for you or that I point out to you, needs to be drawn from what slide of a PowerPoint or a smartboard, and I'll let you know. All right, you're going to label all diagrams where necessary, and I'm going to say about 90% of them need further labeling to them. All right. There will also be diagrams that you print. I send to you and say this diagram that is not a diagram that you draw. It might be too complicated, but you're going to either label and annotate. All right. Annotate means write small notes next to it. All right. And what it includes, as you see there, is all the required diagrams and any other that may be important to answer a question. And as you can see in the small print on the bottom, when I say diagram to you, guys, I mean anything that you draw. It could be a drawing itself. It could be a graph. Okay, so anything that you draw or then thus put into the notebook that is given to you. And when you put it into the notebook, it needs to be taped down or lightly glued down and into the notebook, not just stuck in. Stuck in is the same as not turned down. All right, so I'm going to go over the format with you, and then I'm going to show you a couple of exemplars that I scanned in, so you can see to do this. At any time during this, when you're completing it, stop, go back, take a look at it again, in case you're wondering what he's talking about. All right, so what is the format? All right, let's see if I can get the print out of the way. So there is one diagram per page. All right, one diagram per page. And what is a page? You might say a page is a side in a notebook. All right, so here is a page in the notebook. Here is a page. You can have a diagram on this side and a diagram on that side as well. So a page in the notebook, one diagram per page, not multiple, not a set of diagrams, one per page. All right, there is going to be uploaded with this in the test 2. There will be a Google Doc generated with all of the required drawings for that and/or things for that notebook. All right, for those who strongly recommended, want to work ahead. All right, place the diagrams in the notebook in the order that they appear on the Google Doc. That makes sense. Some students, and I think it is a really good idea, also number, you can see there, number, got a little close number there. Notebooks, get one that's a little bit louder, a lot larger there, number pages in their notebook. This person didn't do that. Maybe Zachy did. Number the pages in their notebook. Zakhar did up on top there. You can see 52. Makes things easier for you to read. But numbering is not a requirement. Not a requirement. However, what is a requirement is each diagram must have a heading, must have its heading. Take the heading right from the Google Doc, as in what you are drawing. All right. Generally placed on top, but it could also be placed on the bottom. I just need to be able to see it. It's a graded portion. All diagrams must be labeled according to directions. What are the directions? Well, what we labeled in class. All right, but if you're not sure, overlabel. I don't know what overlabel is, but do it. rather than not have any labeling at all. Be accurate with your labeling. Be accurate with your science drawing, especially when you're drawing pictures. You'll hear me say it in class. That's why you need to stay engaged. Okay, you'll hear me say it, right? When I diagram, right? That's why I practice. That's why you don't go right into this book, all right? So you can either orient your pictures by portrait or by landscape on that page you draw, whatever sees fit for the best look of the diagram. Some are going to be this way by nature of it. And on the bottom is so super important, all right? Pencil or colored pencil only. If there is a pen mark in the notebook around a drawing, you're going to lose credit. And you're going to lose credit right off the bat. The heading is in pencil, the drawing is in pencil, the labeling is in pencil or colored pencil. Okay, no pen in this notebook. All right, when you take test 2, for instance, when you took the last test, the first test, it was paper 2 pen, paper 1 pencil. Now the next test, and for every other test, it's going to be paper 2 pen unless you're drawing. You may not draw for IB in pen. They will not grade it. Okay, they will not grade it. All right, so pencil or colored pencil right off the bat. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of examples so you see this directional illustrated. All right, get rid of you too. All right, so here's a picture here. All right, this picture here, you'll notice with a heading up on top, a page number. This young person kept a page number. This is an example of a diagram that I said to the students here, print this out and label it, which basically means I labeled it in class with you. This is an overview of transcription and translation, protein synthesis. So this is one kind of diagram. The labeling could be a little better on it, meaning, and I'll show you what I mean by this. It's a little random looking, but that I wanted more for the picture. We'll show you what we mean by this. All right, so the next one coming up, get rid of you. The next one coming up is a graph. Oops, it was coming up. Let's get it back up there. Sorry, is a graph. All right. Now notice the graph has the heading on the bottom. That's completely fine. Top or bottom, as long as it has the heading of what we are looking at. All right. Now look at the lines drawn, like the axis drawn, obviously drawn with the ruler. Time and care taken to this. Neatness is a grading factor in this. You don't have to be a perfect diagram or drawing a picture to be able to diagram well. Notice here how the line drawn up to optimum pH comes right off of what we are labeling. So the line touches it. It's not left off. All right, so I can demonstrate that in class of what not to do. All right, she or he, I think this was a she, also has these things labeled, which is a good idea. You need a legend every now and then so we know what we're talking about. All right, so there is another picture of a graph, which counts as a diagram. And this one will come up in, test 3, okay, of this quarter. And then lastly, a picture. All right, so this is a picture that comes up in either, I think, the first test of the second quarter. Notice again, on the bottom, you have a labeling. All right, and this is a very well done picture, which is why I wanted you to see it. And again, I don't know if I could reproduce a picture like this. I really don't, because I'm not as good of a drawing diagrammer as this person was. All right, but you'll notice here, that's what I want you to see again, what this is labeled, coming right off of it, touching it and bringing it up, touching it, right? Now, these directional arrows are not labeled to anything. So this is a directional arrow, but this is called a secretory vesicle. So it's touching it. And this is what an annotation is. Fuses with the cell membrane made possible because. So that is a drawn picture into the notebook. All right. So you can see these things. You can use these as models for yourself. All right, so you have that there. Let's talk a couple of minutes about grading. Then I'm out at this, or from this. All right, when is it due? When do you know to bring it in? All right, we make it very easy on all students every year. The day we have a test is the day this is due. Notice I didn't say the day you take the test. So that's my encouragement for all students to make it in to either the Commons or the gym on the day of a test. All right? So the diagram notebook is due on the day of the scheduled test. Bring it in with you. Don't forget it. You know I'm going to remind you 5,000 times. It'll be in the panel, the smartboard panel we put up of reminders. Please make sure that it comes in every day. You put it on your desk. I take it. Bam. Goes back. The diagram notebook that will be graded before I start grading the tests. Why? Because a couple of days later, I want to offer it up to get it back to you, which means you're going to need to come in just for a couple of minutes, pick up the notebook, so then you can bring it out. Don't leave it till the day before a test, right? You know every test is going to be on a Wednesday this quarter, and for the year if we're in school, all right? And this is only for if we're in school. If we're ever on alternate, I'm going to have to come up with an alternate plan, but I'm choosing not to think like that right now. So it needs to be picked up, a couple of days. If we take a test on Wednesday, the notebooks will be available to you on Friday. So by Friday of that week or Monday of the next week, you need to stop by at the 2:20 to 3:20 hour and pick it up. All right? That would be a good thing. Or any other hour during the day that you can make it over or wish to. All right? So this way you have it with enough time to do it. And, this test that you're coming up, test 2, is going to have a lot of diagrams. Not all of them will. All right? So you may say to yourself, how are you grading this? Well, this quarter anyway, while we're out of school, it's worth 20% of the first quarter grade. All right? So 20%. Normally, in every quarter, there's going to be 4 notebooks. And that means each notebook is going to be worth 25 points, which are going to get you to 100 points. And that'll go into the system. And so 20%, so that accounts for 20%. So 20 report card points. Now, this quarter, the notebook that is due in 2 weeks is going to be worth 50 of those points, since we're only going to have 3 notebooks in this quarter. So that means 10 report card points, this. So be aware and be careful each turn in, all right? So generally, as you see in boldface, notebook will be considered late if not turned in on the day of the test, all right? We got to hold you, to account. So make sure that you make alternate arrangements to get your notebook in if you can't get it on the day. But all better, it really is, my little impetus to make sure that you are in here and not, getting, a sickness. We'll talk about that in class, all right? So notebooks attendance and your attendance on test day are crucial. How are you going to be graded? How is the notebook going to be graded? Well, all right, you've got accuracy in science. That's number one. Number one, all right? The other 3 are super important, but a diagram that has mistakes in it is going to have to be marked off, all right? So you got to be aware of that. Ease of reading and neatness go together, all right? You've got to work to not do this in 3 minutes before you're coming in for a test. And so you're going to have to take some time, especially if you're like me and are really not a good art person. Some of you are masterful. I'm not one of them, all right? And of course, that you follow the format that you see on this page, the pen and pencil, the 1 diagram on per page, right from the get-go. All right, but now you have this so that you're able to keep this and listen to it again and refer to it again. You have the couple of examples of the template. All right, so that ends then the diagram notebook. This will go up online. Use it and start preparing away. Excellent job, and I will see you in the virtual world.